You cross the finish line, get the promotion, or finally set a healthy boundary. But instead of relief, a sudden, heavy dread settles in. Pop psychology frequently labels this imposter syndrome, or fear of success. It frames the problem as a private struggle with your own self-esteem, suggesting your mindset is the only thing standing in the way of your happiness. Your nervous system is detecting the arrival of a massive hidden invoice. You aren't reacting to the achievement itself. Your body is bracing for the fallout that success will trigger in the people and institutions around you. This internal weight is called systemic moral load. Growth makes you responsible for consequences that were previously hidden. You carry the truth through a system adapted to silence, metabolizing the disorder of a family or organization you didn't create. Mistaking this structural friction for a personal psychological failure creates a loop of endless self-improvement. You keep trying to fix your mind, while the actual obstacle remains the relational architecture you're living inside. Success is a shockwave. When one person in a network moves, the entire structure is forced to adjust its equilibrium. This model shows how a system maintains its old balance. The nodes that benefited from your smallness or your silence will unconsciously push back, punishing the expansion that made the system's own stagnation visible. This creates a double bind. The system issues a set of incompatible rules. Succeed, but do not outgrow us. Be powerful, but do not challenge the people who depend on your weakness. The most damaging part of the trap is that the rules cannot be discussed. The system forbids you from pointing out the contradiction, forcing you to resolve the conflict inside your own body. In this environment, growth becomes a rigged game. You are made responsible for a contradiction you aren't allowed to identify, and success begins to feel like a punishment. When a system refuses to hold its own trial, the courtroom moves into your physical body. Your nervous system becomes the site where the group's unresolved conflict is processed. This flowchart tracks allostasis, the process where the brain budgets energy to anticipate chronic social threats. Your body is constantly allocating resources to survive an invisible pressure, leaving you physically depleted by a situation that your mind hasn't even fully named yet. Your jaw tightens and your sleep fragments because your biology is paying the bill for a larger disorder. You are bearing the cost of a misalignment that belongs to the network, not just yourself. Recovery starts with a specific diagnosis. On the left is progressive load, the healthy strain of building new skills. On the right is structural drag, the exhaustion of fighting unnecessary retaliation from a system that doesn't want you to move. Identifying whether your pain is progressive growth or structural friction determines your next move. One builds capacity, the other simply consumes your life. Breaking a pattern creates a local spike in pain. One person bears the conscious brunt of the hammer strikes so that the people following them can walk through an open canyon. This asymmetrical burden feels unfair, because it is. You are effectively paying for sins and debts, the avoidance and denial of previous generations or current institutions that did not start with you. But there is a danger in romanticizing this. Abusive systems often frame your silent endurance as loyalty or your burnout as mission. This is false sacrifice, where your energy is used to preserve the obstruction rather than clear it. True success means turning that pressure into something new. It is the ability to metabolize the inherited debt without becoming a permanent landfill for the system's dysfunction. Moving forward requires meta-communication, the ability to step back and name the exact contradiction the system is trying to hide. This moves the conflict from your nervous system back out into the open. Recognizing the relational architecture changes the diagnosis from a private defect to a structural obstruction. You start looking for the bottlenecks in the room instead of the flaws in your character. In this diagram, naming the bind shatters the old configuration. When you stop playing the rigged game, the system is forced to reorganize around the truth you've introduced. The energy once trapped in your body can finally circulate into boundaries and new structures. This turns the fear of success into a functional map. Your progress is no longer just a personal win.